people that come here that don't know us need to learn about our history and how we were treated, and they need to realize that they are the way they are for a reason, and it's not by fluke, and it's not because we like being there, and it's not because some of us like smoking crack, which is like totally ridiculous. But there's a whole history behind the way things are, and a lot of things are the way they are because they were planned in a way, and it's not by choice. We do not want to be down there.
My grandmother started to tell us the story about how when she was 12 years old and she was in the residential school, there was a little Indian boy. He couldn't have been any older than 6 or 7, and he didn't, just like any of the other Indian kids, they didn't know how to speak English yet. And so they were condemned. They were told not to speak their language, and if they did, they were punished. And this little Indian boy that was very young, he did not know how to speak English yet, and he was asking one of the older girls to how to say the different stuff in English so he could learn, so he wouldn't be punished so much. And he must have just spoke at the wrong time, and the priest just happened to be walking by, and he caught him speaking Indian, and he grabbed the little boy by his belt loop, his belt, and the back of his shirt, and he pulled him back, and he heaved him forward into the pole. The little boy hit it head on, and when he fell, he was unconscious for a few minutes, and when he got up, he didn't know where he was. He didn't know who he was. And I think that'll be with me for the rest of my life.
My grandmother went to residential school. All of her 9 children went to residential school. And so they weren't taught their language, they weren't taught their culture, and I think because of a lot of the shame that they experienced there for being Native, you know, you still carry that shame, you still carry that that negative energy of not feeling as equal.
Well, I think language is really important, and it's a sore spot for me, or not a sore spot, but something that I missed out on. You know, I'm a generation, now they teach my language in the kindergartens and the preschools on my reserve, but in my generation we have some words that just pick up, because some words that just make it into part of a kind of English language, but in general I didn't grow up with my language, and it's something I think is really missing. You know, you miss out on a whole perspective, in some ways a whole worldview, when you don't know your language.
My word is Hatte Soen Sin, and that means hello, my friend. I got it from my grandparents, I guess. I've heard it a few times, but I haven't really caught any other native language, so that's pretty much all I know.
Bannock! I would have said something in my native tongue, but throughout my whole life I have never learned anything culturally or spiritually, and I think it's a really sad thing. I wouldn't mind learning, but I never did. So I had to say Bannock.
Spa'utin. That means asshole in Shuswap. There's a story that goes along with it about my dad who'd met this guy, and his last name was, I don't know, something like say Spunny or something like that. And he got it wrong and thought his last name was Spa'utin. And he went home to my great-grandfather and was telling him all about this guy he met who was his cousin. He said, "Dad, I met one of my cousins. His name is Larry Spa'utin." And my great-grandfather just started laughing. And my dad got kind of mad and was like, "What are you laughing about?" And my great-grandfather was like, "Well, spu'utin means asshole." So that's my word, and my dad was pretty embarrassed.
Macheskosis. This is my native name that my great-grandmother gave me, and I got to go to her 100th birthday last summer, so it's a really important name for me. It means little swallow in Cree.
Qela kiasla nuku am balas. Gayutlan lacha mam leokla. Glunam qis. Maya hila. That word means to take good care of something or someone. And when people define Maya hila, they tend to define it as respect.
You know, don't let anyone tell you you don't have something valuable to say. Your words, your stories are important. They're not only important to Native people, they're important to all of people. And you need to find your voice and to exercise your voice. Because until we have more and more people, you know, standing up and talking about their stories, their histories, that's when we're going to start to understand each other. And that's when change is going to start to happen, I think.
Ah!